Hey, it's Trey, and I'm posting this bonus podcast because this month marks a significant milestone for us and them, West Virginia, and actually American history. 50 years ago today, on June 27th, 1974, the Board of Education in Kanawha County, West Virginia, set off a chapter in the nation's culture wars as it debated whether to purchase a controversial series of new textbooks. The meeting room was packed, and emotions were hot. Now, as many of you know, my first entree into all things ussy and themy was when I produced an award-winning documentary about the 1974 Kanawha County textbook controversy. If you are a subscriber to Us and Them, you'll know that we are presenting my Great Textbook War documentary as an encore this month, and I hope you'll give it a listen. I also produced a brief remembrance of that emotional Board of Ed meeting from June 1974. Here's that report, which will also air on West Virginia Public Broadcasting. The year I was in 7th grade, the Board of Education was considering new English and language arts textbooks to reflect America's multicultural society. School board member Alice Moore, the wife of a local preacher, was offended by some of the material that she believed to be unpatriotic and anti-Christian. However, there were many people in Kanawha County who supported these new multicultural textbooks. The West Virginia Human Rights Commission, the Council of Churches, and the NAACP all wanted classroom materials to include works by African American writers like James Baldwin, Gwendolyn Brooks, and Langston Hughes. The June 27th board meeting and the decision whether to purchase the books was a high-stakes issue with significant consequences. Some textbook critics feared references to the Vietnam War might open the door to unpatriotic views. The opponents cited an English textbook with an E.E. Cummings poem that they considered to be pornographic. Another book included a racially and sexually charged passage by former Black Panther Eldridge Cleaver. School board member Alice Moore was offended by the inclusion of a Sigmund Freud essay.
In the same book, Essays in Theory, there's another article on the sexuality of children, their sexual feelings toward their parents, where they spell out quite explicitly how every little girl has a very sexual desire for her father.
Anyway, Sigmund Freud, this was something he had said, and he said every child, every boy desires to have sex with his mother, and every girl desires to have sex with her father. And that was so repulsive to me, to think that any child would see that. I knew that thought would never leave their mind.
16 people testified at the board meeting that night, 10 in favor of the new books and 6 against them. Mike Winger supported the new textbooks at that meeting. Winger said it was important to give children a sense of their reality.
If I have been successful as a parent, nothing my children can read in school can hurt them. Most of us remember the childhood saying, "Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words," and I would add, ideas, "can never harm me." To summarize, this is the only world in which we live. We cannot hide it from our children. We can only determine when they will find it and where they will find it. Let them find it today rather than tomorrow, and let them find it here in our schools rather than on some street corner in New York or in some rice paddy in Vietnam. Thank you.
As a 7th grader in 1974, I saw Kanawha County's textbook war as symbolic. It brought violence to my city, to places I knew. Shots were fired at empty school buses. School buildings were dynamited and firebombed. Many families kept children out of schools, and a business boycott hurt the entire region. The textbook controversy also showed me adults who were unwilling or unable to compromise. The conflict revealed in that board meeting continues to bubble up in our public schools. In Kanawha County, the question in 1974 was how school classrooms could include the full spectrum of the Black experience in American culture and think critically about societal structures. Culture war battles continue today, as the National Education Association reports that nearly half of schools face challenges to teaching about issues of race and racism and their policies and practices relating to LGBTQ issues. 1/3 of schools report attempts to limit access to books in the library. Most everyone agrees the stakes are high. As the culture wars play out in our public schools, these debates can really undermine confidence. Our education system values local control, which means each of the nation's nearly 13,600 school districts tackles these debates independently. Educators, parents, and students all play a crucial role, each bringing their own sense of values and rights to the discussion. That's often why this fundamental rift in American values bubbles to the surface. We all believe in rights and have values, but whose rights and values take precedence? It's so easy in today's climate to create an us versus them atmosphere. But as I've learned from talking across the cultural divide for more than a decade, when we really listen to each other, there are ways to see fresh perspectives and sometimes even come to new conclusions. Yet, when we're in the middle of a values battle, it's pretty scary because we just don't know how things will end. For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, I'm Trey Kay in Charleston.
Support for this podcast comes from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.